My name is Marjorie Calder. I'm 33 years old, the youngest daughter of a legacy family most people in Montecito whisper about but never dare to question. My father, Walter Calder, built an empire on charm and defense contracts, the kind of man who toasts senators with one hand and silences scandals with the other. My siblings inherited his grace, his ruthlessness, and his Rolodex. I got none of it. Instead, I spent my 20s buried in data modeling and ethical whistleblowing, two things no Calder has ever considered fashionable or forgivable. At every family function, I was the awkward one, the one with too many questions and never the right dress. For years, they treated me like a liability, a shadow they could contain. But tonight, in a mansion filled with America's power players, someone finally recognized me, and not for the reasons my father had planned. He tried to hide me in the attic, but now the entire party knows I'm the reason his empire might fall. The dress was borrowed, the heels half a size too tight. I stood just inside the threshold of my childhood home, now a palace of polished concrete, curated art, and security systems disguised as sculpture. Two men in tuxedos glanced past me, not at me, then returned to their conversation about crypto lobbying and the next congressional draft. No one expected me to be here, especially not my father. You weren't on the list, Marjorie. My father's voice was low-clipped. Why would you just show up? I shrugged. It's still my house, isn't it? He laughed. Cold. Legally, yes. Optically. He gestured toward the ballroom, where chandeliers shimmered over people who could bankrupt a nation with one memo. No, there it was, the optics. My father worshipped them like a second god. He stepped closer. You're not to be seen tonight. You understand. I'm not a child anymore, I said. Then stop acting like one. He buttoned his jacket. Stay upstairs. Be invisible. If you love this family even a little, do not embarrass me. The word stuck. Embarrass. I watched him disappear into a crowd that would have had me jailed 2 years ago for exposing their money laundering web. If I hadn't vanished from the news cycle faster than they could write a smear campaign. Upstairs, the East Wing had changed. My room converted into storage. My old desk gone, replaced by crates marked with shipping labels from Dubai, Singapore, Zurich. The hallway smelled like lemon polish and extinction. I passed the security server closet, still locked, still humming. One of my old admin passwords used to work here. I hadn't tried it in years. Downstairs, music swelled. The party had started. I stood on the landing, looked out over the balcony. The ballroom was a river of gowns and glass, old money and new power pretending they were different. There was Thane Wexley near the center, tech bro turned defense darling. Next to him, a senator I'd once filed a sealed deposition against, all laughing like the world owed them a softer lens. And then I saw it, just above the bar, among the golden-framed case studies mounted like hunting trophies. A photo, a chart, a model I built. The Phoenix Predictive, the algorithm that had changed everything. My name wasn't under it, but my face was right there, smiling, professional, framed. They'd buried me alive, then used my work to build the walls of their fortress. Footsteps clicked behind me. I turned fast, pulse sharp. It was Maddox, cousin, snake in human skin. You weren't supposed to see that, he said almost kindly. I see a lot of things I'm not supposed to, I said. I write code for a living. He leaned closer, whispered like it was a prayer. If you value oxygen, Marjorie, stay in the attic. I didn't answer. I just watched him walk down the stairs with the calm of someone who believed in impunity. My fingers tightened on the railing. My breath came fast. I needed to get into the study. Now, Walter never let anyone near his tablet, but tonight, in his arrogance, he'd left it charging on the main desk. I'd seen it earlier, screen still glowing when the lights dimmed for the first toast. The study door was unlocked. Inside, everything was pristine. Dark wood, Smell of old contracts and cigar ghosts. I reached the tablet. Swiped. No password. The email client was open. Top thread. Containment protocol. Am Calder. Subline. If she's spotted, everything falls apart. I didn't move. Didn't blink. There were attachments. Contracts. Slideshow decks. Payment receipts. A name I didn't recognize. Nolan Kess. A flag on the word transfer. My chest felt tight. Then a sound, a laugh, outside the door. Close. I killed the screen. Shoved the tablet back. Slipped into the closet just as the door creaked open. 2 men entered. One was Walter. The other? Senator Dalton. Navy suit. Dead eyes. You're sure she doesn't know? Dalton asked. Walter. She's a data nerd, not a threat. Dalton. Every leak starts with one. Walter paused. If it comes to it, we'll clean it. A beat. Then the senator. Let's pray she's smart enough to disappear on her own. They left. My hands were shaking. Downstairs, someone laughed too loud. A glass shattered. I slid the closet door open. The house felt heavier than before. And then I looked back at that framed photo. If I wasn't supposed to be seen, why was my face framed in gold, right above the bar? The chandeliers flickered. It wasn't the light, it was my nerves. Hands damp. Spine locked. A sharp clink of a glass. Laughter, fake and hollow. I descended the stairs 1 step at a time, blending into shadows cast by marble columns. The ballroom pulsed beneath soft jazz, but my attention locked on one man. Thane Wexley. His voice cut through the ambient hum. Is that who I think it is? He wasn't talking to me, but he was looking directly at me. I didn't move. Marjorie Calder, he said, louder now, grinning like he'd spotted an old war buddy. You're the Calder from the Phoenix predictive model, right? Conversation slowed. Heads turned. A champagne flute stilled midair. That name, Phoenix, wasn't supposed to be public, and definitely not tied to me. I forced a polite smile. Must be a different Calder. No, he chuckled, eyes wide, pleased with himself. It's you. You saved my company 2 years ago. That predictive risk matrix? Game changer. You disappeared after the beta launch. His voice carried. Too much. People were listening now. The senator's aide. The hedge fund wife with the red clutch. Even Maddox, leaning on the piano like a paid extra. I backed away, smile fading. Cut scene. Walter found me seconds later, dragged me into the wine cellar like a hostage. The cold hit my skin first, then the fury. What the hell are you doing? He hissed. Didn't say a word. He recognized me. You were never supposed to be part of tonight. You being seen here, this compromises everything. He slammed the cellar door shut. Dust fell from the hinges. You used my work, I said. You framed it, displayed it, but erased my name. It wasn't your name that mattered, he snapped. It was the model. I stepped forward. You can't delete people, Walter. You've done enough damage already. Just stay out of sight. I built the foundation you're standing on, and now it's cracking. His jaw clenched. The vein in his temple throbbed. You'll regret this. Back upstairs, I wandered toward the gallery. The walls glittered with golden frames, sustainability reports, recovery portfolios, risk intelligence models, corporate trophies. My model was front and center, but something was wrong. The data was off. A key sequence, series 9 through 12, was missing. That section was the algorithmic fingerprint for spotting irregularities in shell firms and cross-owned subsidiaries. Without it, the model looked like a fraud detection tool. With it, it became a weapon. Someone stripped it, sanitized it, and rebranded it. Name underneath. Developed in partnership with Calder Enterprises. No mention of me. I heard her before I saw her. Odessa Hartwell. Tight bun. Black heels that didn't scuff. Don't touch the glass, she said from behind me. I turned. She didn't smile. We had an agreement, Marjorie. I never signed anything. You did, with your silence. I held her stare. What did they promise you? She looked away. Some ghosts are safer in the dark. I laughed, bitter. Ghosts don't leak into federal audits. She hesitated. You don't know what you're walking into. Then tell me. Odessa opened her clutch, pulled out a folded document, passed it like contraband. It was a redacted file. Header, Department of Defense, Predictive Allocation and Asset Recovery. It had my model ID, a date, and a signature that didn't belong to me. Nolan Kess. My breath caught. I thought this was for economic ethics. Financial oversight, I whispered. She stepped back. It's not. It never was. A scream broke the air, distant, from the garden terrace. People turned. Murmurs spread. Distraction. I bolted through the side corridor, toward the security annex. Swiped Walter's old access code, 0814. Still worked. Inside, cameras, terminals archived footage. One screen showed the ballroom. Another, the terrace. A woman fainted. Guards rushed in. Diversion. Third screen. Hallway outside the server room. A man in a navy suit, Senator Dalton, speaking with Maddox. I zoomed in. Dalton handed him something. Flash drive? Cash? I couldn't tell. Then cutscene. The gallery emptied fast after the scream. Guests spilled out into the foyer, their whispers louder than the music, now dying in the background. I slipped into the gallery again, alone. The altered model still hung, undisturbed. I reached for the side panel, lifted the hidden latch. A card reader blinked red. Biometric access only. Who else had that? I checked my watch. 9:42 p.m. Under 3 hours left. The ballroom pulsed behind me. If they've edited the data, what else did they bury along with my name? I moved fast, not because I was confident, but because fear has a velocity of its own. The hallway outside the gallery was empty. Too empty. I knew this house, its rhythms, its blind spots. But tonight, it felt like someone had redrawn the blueprint without telling me. Every step echoed too loudly. Every silence felt rehearsed. Down the side stairs, through the art corridor, into the library. One shelf slid open with a hard tug. Behind it, the Calder Estate's real heart, the security node. A false wall coded lock. Walter had it installed after the congressional leak. Said it was for peace of mind. He never expected I'd remember the admin override. I punched it in. Click. The panel shifted. Dark room. Blinking servers. The sound of fans and heat. I stepped inside. 3 monitors. 1 keyboard. 1 master port. No hesitation. I plugged in the drive for my heel. 2 years of backups. Metadata. Clone traces. Every version of Phoenix from version 1.2 to the final override script, version 3. And then it popped. 1 folder. Phoenix/obstruction_override on RV3. No corporate logo. No timestamps. Just a string of code, and beneath it a flag. DoD use only. Internal prediction engine. The Phoenix model had been repurposed. It wasn't predicting risk. It was forecasting opportunity. Specifically, how to crash companies. Strategic shutdowns. Collapse points. Insider trigger algorithms. A playbook on how to bankrupt a competitor in less than 30 days. That's not defense tech. That's economic warfare. And Walter knew. He used it. Door creaked. Footsteps outside. I yanked the drive. Killed the screen. No time to erase footprints. Cut scene. I slipped out the east exit behind the wine racks into the back garden. My leg was bleeding again from the earlier fall against the gallery door. The cold air bit deep, but I moved. Low. Fast. Toward the edge of the estate. The old greenhouse loomed like a broken rib cage. A safe path. until headlights flared. A car. Sleek. Black. No plates. I turned to run. Marjorie, a voice barked. Maddox. In the driveway. Jacket gone. Tie undone. I've been looking for you. I didn't stop. He chased me down the path. Hand grabbed my elbow. Listen to me. I elbowed him hard in the ribs. He stumbled back. You gave them my location, I said. I didn't. Then why did the security log ping your clearance on my file? His face froze. Always watch the blink. The panic lives there. I took off again, toward the side gate. He didn't follow. He didn't have to. The gate was locked. Dead bolted. Behind me, the engine purred. A car door slammed. I turned. Not Maddox. A driver. Sunglasses at night. Face pale, expressionless. Miss Calder, you're needed back at the house. I wasn't aware I left. He opened the back door. Black leather. Dim light. I took one step back. Then I heard the click. The other door closing. I was surrounded. No time to scream. No point. I slid in. Locked from the inside. The car moved. Not toward the house. Not toward the main road. Toward the cliffs. The rear-view mirror reflected nothing but shadow. You don't have to do this, I said. Silence. I have backup copies. Still nothing. My voice shook. They'll know it was you. Then the driver spoke. She told us you'd say that. I froze. She. No answer. Twist the blade. Cut to black. My fingers slipped into my boot. The backup drive. Still there. If I could get one signal out. No bars. Dead zone. The GPS flickered. Coordinates jumped. Then stabilized. Cliffside utility road. Unauthorized access. Of course. Walter always said. Every fortress needs one door that only you know. I never realized he meant a graveyard. The car slowed. Moonlight hit the gravel. The ocean below, dark and violent. I moved fast. Yanked the handle. Locked. I shifted, foot to door, heel first. 1. 2. Glass spiderwebbed. 3. It cracked. 4. Shattered. I tumbled out, boots scraping gravel. Cut to black. The car swerved. Stopped. I ran. Branches clawed at my jacket. The cliff edge loomed. Breath ragged. Ears ringing. A shape appeared through the trees. Not a person. A box. Wooden. Weather warped. My childhood fort. Long abandoned. I dove in. Heart in my throat. Behind me, the car idled. No one followed. Not yet. I held the flash drive in my hand like a fuse. Because the wrong person just found out I had the truth. And the truth wants me dead. I trusted the wrong person. And now, someone wants me gone before sunrise. The fort smelled like rotted cedar and rust. Every gust of wind rattled the beams like bones cracking in a shallow grave. I stayed low, heart pounding in my throat, blood sticky under my sleeve. The flash drive was hot in my hand, like it knew it wasn't supposed to survive this long. Someone wanted me gone. Someone from inside. And I had one name left, Nolan Kess. Cut scene. I crouched beside the broken window, pulling out the prepaid burner I always carried. My thumb trembled on the screen. 1 bar. Good enough. I opened the encrypted drop folder, dragged the file. Sent. Seconds stretched like hours. Then, upload complete. Insurance. If I went missing, someone out there would know. Someone not for sale. A twig snapped outside. I froze. Footsteps. 2. No, 3. Too heavy for wildlife. Voices. Muffled. Sure she came this way. We sweep the cliff. I stayed silent. Breath shallow. It's always the silence that betrays you, not the noise. Then a new voice. Closer. Female. Controlled. You can't outrun this, Marjorie. Odessa. You think one file protects you? We buried worse. You were just noise. I gritted my teeth. Noise always builds. You ignore it long enough, it becomes sirens. She didn't laugh. She didn't move. She knew I was listening. You're not a threat, Marjorie, she called out, almost gently. You're an orphan of your own ideals. I crawled backward, breath fast. You want the truth, she asked. Let me give you something real. Silence. Then, there's another Calder. One your father didn't tell you about. I froze. That wasn't part of the file. Cut scene. An hour later, I slipped into the back of a rideshare SUV, 20 miles from the estate. Face washed. Hood up. Where to? The driver asked. Eyes on the mirror. I checked my phone. The encrypted upload pinged green. Secure. AMC, I said. Movie theater? No. Advanced Monitoring Consortium. He whistled. Heavy place. They'll want to see something. He didn't ask. The AMC building looked like a museum from the outside. Cold. Imposing. Hidden in plain sight. Inside, steel white light, zero warmth. I was escorted to a secure room. Camera in the corner. One chair. Then he entered. Agent Caswell. Thin. Crisp. Smelled like ink and stale protocol. You've been busy, he said, folding his arms. I slid the flash drive across the table. You're going to want to decrypt that. It links DoD contracts to Phoenix V3. Asset manipulation through predictive destabilization. And you're what? The conscience. No, I'm the liability they failed to delete. He didn't flinch. We've been watching the Calders for years, he said. But you... I'm the forgotten one. He nodded. That's usually where the Real story begins. He left me alone. For 17 minutes. I stared at the blank wall, replaying Odessa's words. Another Calder. The drive didn't show that. There was no sibling. No buried adoption. No affair that lined up. Unless the erasure started earlier. Before Phoenix. Before me. Caswell returned with a printout. Where did you get this access? I built the system. He handed me a photo. A grainy still. Surveillance. It was Walter. Shaking hands with Nolan Kess. Only the date. It was before Phoenix was finalized. Before I ever pitched it. He knew, I whispered. He planned this before I even drafted the first model. Caswell's eyes narrowed. And there's more. He handed me a second photo. Different angle. Different man. Same surname. L. Calder. I stared at it. Couldn't breathe. That face. Younger. Harder. Alive with something feral. This isn't my brother. It is, Caswell said. Lachlan Calder. Legally dead. In 1996. But he's not. And he's been working with Nolan Kess for years. Why wouldn't Walter tell anyone? Caswell paused. Because Lachlan didn't disappear. He slid the third photo across the table. This was taken 3 days ago. It was Lachlan, standing in the same ballroom I had just escaped from, smiling, holding a champagne glass, looking right into the camera. I leaned back, heart pounding. They didn't just erase me, I whispered. They replaced you, Caswell said. I closed my eyes, but the image burned into my skull. My father's voice echoed from years ago. Loyalty isn't blood, it's usefulness. Tonight, I'd just become disposable again, and my replacement was already in the house. I didn't see him at first, a shadow moving behind the blown-out greenhouse glass. Just a flicker, then another. I crouched low, heart hammering like a pistol shot in a quiet room. Wind rattled the broken panes. I scanned the cliffside trees. Another shadow. Closer. My breath caught. They weren't alone. I forced myself upright. The flash drive was tucked into my palm like a live grenade. Odessa's words rang in my head. Not all ghosts want to be left alone. I stepped out, Footsteps came faster, concrete crunching underfoot. I turned a corner. A van idling. Black. No lights. Door slid open. A man in a pressed suit stood there, no expression. Marjorie Calder. Voice low. Not friendly. I think you have something that doesn't belong to you. His eyes didn't flicker. No emotion. Just cold focus. That was the wrong look. I bolted. Cut scene. I sprinted toward the cliffside road that wound back to the estate. My leg burned. Adrenaline cut through it like acid. Behind me, the man moved with a strange, silent precision, like he anticipated every step, every turn. I glanced back. His silhouette cut against the moonlit road. Then he vanished. No sound. Nothing. Just the wind. I slowed. Confusion. Then a movement at the edge. Someone crouched low by a boulder. Maddox. His face pale in the moonlight. Not relief. Fear. I didn't send him, Maddox said fast. Then who did? I panted. His gaze darted behind me. Not us anymore, he said. I swallowed hard. What do you mean? He pointed. Far down the road, another figure waving. A woman. Her hair long. Blonde. Familiar. My breath froze. Lachlan. I blinked. No, that couldn't be right. He was my father's brother, legally declared dead for decades. A ghost name. A story parents tell to scare kids. But the silhouette, it wasn't a story. It was real. Slow. I approached. Closer. Then the woman turned. Not my aunt. Not anyone I knew. Just someone standing there, smiling. Too calm. Too prepared. She stepped forward. Her heels clicked. That sound like judgment. Marjorie Calder, she said. Her voice smooth. It hit me like ice shards. Lachlan sent me. I didn't process it. Not then. I just ran. Straight back toward the estate's security annex. No surrender. Just survival. Inside, I punched the access code I'd saved in my mind, 0814, the one Walter used to mock me with when I was a kid. The monitors flickered. Cameras from every angle. The gallery. The ballroom. The coast. One camera feed I hadn't seen before, the glass room. A secure section in the main house, used only for conversations involving top leadership and documents. Tonight, it served as the unofficial hub for elite deals. And tonight it had company. My father, Senator Dalton, Nolan Kess, and the woman from the road, not an assassin, a negotiator. Her badge flashed on screen. Calder Enterprises, Global Affairs Division. I watched, and then the twist broke me cold. Lachlan wasn't an enemy. He was part of the Calder network, a fact Walter never spoke about, a truth he buried deeper than my own name. I backed out of the room, breath ragged. Everything changed. My father wasn't just hiding my existence. He was hiding a partner, a sibling, someone even he feared. The door to the annex opened. Heavy boots. Not mine. A hand clamped onto my shoulder. I spun. Agent Caswell, his face lit by monitor glow. Found you, he said. No judgment. Just relief, like he expected this moment. You shouldn't be here, he said. I'm exactly where I need to be. I brushed past him. This isn't just family drama. This is a takeover. He frowned. Explain. I pointed at the screens. There's a faction in Calder Enterprises, a faction that never wanted Phoenix to be a risk model. They wanted it as a weapon. His eyes narrowed. Then it explains why Oakmont Division was funded. I blinked. Oakmont Division? What's that? Caswell pulled up another feed. A secure file buried deep. The header read, Oakmont, Offensive Analytics and Kill Chain Models, Restricted. My breath stopped. This wasn't risk or defense. This was offensive. Not economic. Not political. Offensive. Your father's loyalists plan to weaponize predictive models for bargaining chips, Caswell said. A beat. A slow, sinking dread. But Oakmont, that means someone higher than Walter. Someone pulling strings. And the negotiator in the glass room? Not just a messenger. A puppet master. Cut scene. I stepped outside again. Moonlight was cold. Wind howled. I could feel eyes on me. Not just from the estate. From above. Drones. I saw them, tiny pulsing lights in the sky. Watching. Waiting. Tracking. Someone marked me. Again. A voice echoed in my head. When you learn to kneel, you learn to survive. I had never knelt in my life. Not tonight. Not ever. Behind me, footsteps. Not slow. Pursued. I turned. One figure. Tall. Movement smooth. A whisper of a man. Lachlan. Not the negotiator woman. Not an ally. He stepped into the low light. Face unreadable. My father sends his regards, he said. Not emotion. No regret. Just icy clarity. You should have stayed hidden. I didn't. I stood. Because someone wanted me dead before sunrise. And I wasn't gone yet. The first siren cut through the night like a blade. Then another. Then 5. Red and blue washed over the cliffs, over Lachlan's face, over the truth he couldn't outrun anymore. He didn't move. Didn't blink. Just watched the lights close in. You always did like attention, he said quietly. I didn't answer. Because this time the attention wasn't his. It was mine. Cut. Agents moved fast. Black jackets. Yellow tape. Radios crackling. FBI. Don't move. Lachlan raised his hands slowly, like he'd rehearsed it. Walter was escorted out minutes later, pale, jaw locked, dignity collapsing in real time. He didn't look at me. Not once. The man who taught me silence was now drowning in noise. And I stood there, visible, unhidden, unowned. Caswell approached, eyes sharp, face unreadable. You did good. I didn't do it for you. He nodded. Most people don't. Behind him, Nolan Kess was being cuffed. The negotiator woman was escorted, screaming about immunity, about agreements. None of it mattered. Deals die in daylight. The glass room door stood open, shattered. Inside, screens still glowed with exposed data. Phoenix, Oakmont, Calder Enterprises. Every lie written in clean lines of code. Every crime time-stamped. Every betrayal archived. One of the agents stared at the wall, breath slow. This is surgical. I said nothing. Some truths don't need commentary. A hand touched my arm. Odessa. Her eyes were red. Not from tears. From something heavier. You could have disappeared, she whispered. So could you. She looked down. We chose wrong. I met her gaze. You can still choose again. She didn't answer, but she didn't pull away either. Outside, the ocean roared. The estate lights flickered. Power cut. The mansion that once held kings now stood hollow. A shell. A set. I watched the windows go dark one by one. Every illusion has an expiration date. Caswell handed me a phone. Press is circling. You don't have to speak. I took it. Didn't dial. I wasn't done yet. Lachlan was led past me. Close. So close I could smell salt and regret. He leaned in, voice low. You don't understand what you just broke. I smiled. I understand exactly what I broke. And I don't miss it. His eyes flashed, but there was nothing left to threaten. Walter was last. Hands cuffed behind his back. Shoulders squared like he was still in charge. He stopped in front of me. For the first time all night he looked. Really looked. You think you've won, he said. I met his gaze. Winning was never the point. A beat. Being free was. He stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. He turned away. Dawn crept in slow. Pale. Quiet. The kind of quiet that comes after storms, after wars, after families. I stood at the edge of the property, watching the horizon bleed gold. Behind me, sirens shouting, history being rewritten. Ahead, nothing. Open. Unowned. Unscripted. Caswell joined me. "You're going to be very unpopular," he said. I laughed softly. "I've had practice." He studied me. "Most people don't survive this kind of truth." I shrugged. "Most people don't grow up being erased." A pause. "Then what will you do now?" I thought about it. The models. The code. The ghosts. "I'll build something they can't steal." He nodded. "That's usually how revolutions start." The sun lifted. Light spilled across the cliffs, across the broken greenhouse, across the place they tried to bury me. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like a shadow. I felt like a warning, like a line in the sand, like the glitch they couldn't debug. Someone once told me that power doesn't fear enemies. It fears exposure. Another said that blood makes you related, but truth makes you dangerous. They were right. And tonight I was both. I took one last look at the estate, at the walls that hid me, at the windows that watched me, at the family that tried to erase me. Then I turned away, because I wasn't their secret anymore, and I wasn't their shame. I was their reckoning, and I was finally completely my own.